To learn the components of a Hadoop MapReduce job. You will learn each of the components, their function, and how they interact with each other. It is important to understand how the MapReduce process works and how each piece contributes to the mapping and the reducing process. Hadoop MapReduce is Java-based, so a Java programming background is helpful as MapReduce Java programs use familiar Java design patterns and development methodology. Development of Hadoop MapReduce jobs can take place on the command line or through any Java IDE such as Eclipse. For the sake of simplicity, I will assume that you have successfully installed Hadoop and have the correct jars in your project build path, as Hadoop MapReduce jobs are all written in Java and use standard and extended Java packages. Writing a simple MapReduce program is not that difficult, at least in understanding the code. The real learning curve is understanding the distributed framework in which it's run and deployed. The first code component in the MapReduce framework is the mapper. This component is implemented by a static class that extends MapReduce base and implements the mapper interface. This class will automatically be called by the driver, discussed a little bit later, to start the mapping functionality. Now this is where the code does not tell the whole story. Before we get into what is happening with the code, it is important to understand the distributed framework on which this code is running. If this is a true Hadoop cluster, not a standalone, multiple instances of this mapper will be instantiated across the cluster, with each, in this example, getting fed a different file into it. We are given an object collector object as part of the map method signature. Later we use output collect. This will copy the values it receives as input. These values will be available in the reduce phase. The default input format is a text that represents each line of a file, not the file itself. The string tokenizer breaks up the line into words. The second code component in the MapReduce framework is the reducer. The reducer component is implemented by a static class that extends the reduce class and implements the reducer interface. The mappers output word pairs which are then fed to the reducers. Just like the mappers, the reducers are instantiated across several or more data nodes. Each reducer is managed by its task tracker and is responsible for processing the value lists associated with each word. Here, the list of values would be a list of ones. The reducer sums up those values into a final count for a single word. Here, the reducer prints the final word count and writes it to a file. The last component of a Hadoop MapReduce program is called the driver. This is the portion that starts the job and has the Hadoop MapReduce platform execute your program on a set of files and specifies where to place the output files. This component can run as a thread or even as part of a Java main method. In the program here, the job executes and reads all the files in a given directory. The reducer's output are written to a folder specified by the output path. All job configuration is specified by the job conf object. The functions that perform the mapping and reducing are specified